What should you do when you're getting some website traffic, you're starting to show up in search results, and suddenly your inbox gets obliterated by people offering to sell you guest posts? Now, on one hand, you've been told that backlinks are important, and here's some people offering you backlinks on a plate, but it all seems a bit suspicious. Particularly as if you go to a high quality agency, you're going to be paying anywhere between $200 and $500 per link. While on the other hand, you could just go to Fiverr, spend maybe $10 for hundreds of links. And then somewhere in the middle, you've got these random hustlers on the internet reaching out, basically giving you an inventory saying they can basically guarantee your placement on any one of these websites. Now, generally, obviously you want to be cautious. Obviously, I'm biased. I have a high quality link building agency, but that emphasis on quality is really important. I've worked in corporate roles before with multiple big international SEO agencies where I've seen some of the backlinks they've been providing and they're full of red flags all over. In that particular case, I worked out we were paying about $500 per link, and these links were really low quality, often actually listing the prices of guest posts on the front end. I've also spoken regularly before about trying to stay close to the source and cutting out middlemen, because there have been situations in the past where basically hackers have been reselling links to SEO providers, and then that carries on up the food chain until eventually you've got the actual client, the corporate, the business, but then several chains of resellers in the way, and then find a hacker using back-end access to WordPress in order to fill an innocent mum blog with links to adult and cannabis content. So link building is big, it's messy, it's complicated. So therefore, when you wake up in the morning and you've got 3 of these outreach emails in your inbox, what should you do about it? On one hand, maybe you can get a bargain. On the other hand, just what is going on here? Is this random person on the internet going to mess me about? And if I do get the link, is that actually going to help me out, or is it going to tank my website? So first of all, we need some caution here, because what we generally want to avoid is links that have been very publicized as being easy targets for link building. With a bit of work, you can quite easily find websites that are known to provide guest posts, and this means that it's quite likely that Google also knows about this. So that's why we recommend doing direct outreach, or using an agency like ours that does direct outreach, where we go straight to the webmaster. We'll generally scrape your competitors, and from that, quite often we'll be able to pick up sites that haven't even done many outbound links, and sites that are much more under the radar. Whereas as soon as a site goes really public about selling links, then suddenly it gets obliterated. So I've said this a number of times. People do get very emotional about paid link building. The fact is, you need links to succeed, especially at the moment. Now we're seeing Google is rewarding more and more high DR websites. It used to be that a small, highly relevant website of high quality content could rank without many links. These days, that seems to be back in the past. Now you really need to get your DR up, and you need to do that in a safe and sustainable way. And so paid really is the most scalable means of doing that, as long as you're intelligent about it and smart about it. And that's exactly where we come into with lists like this. Now, I like to avoid dogma in SEO. There are lots of false truths, semi-truths, and lots of big, bold statements that people just repeat without actually having any skin in the game. Like, you should never buy links. I think these kinds of absolutes are always very dangerous. So generally, I would never buy links from an outreach post like this. For one thing, they've got this public list and they're making it extremely public. There have been times in the past where if you're scraping links and performing outreach just like they're doing, or you're doing when you're link building, it's actually very easy to pick up Google email addresses and reach out directly to Google themselves. Now, I've not been able to find the tweet, but somewhere there was a response, I think it was from John Mueller, where someone had basically asked, when people email out these whole inventories, these long lists of link building sites, do you actually use that as part of your algorithm? And they said, of course we do. Now, what Google says and what Google does is often quite contradictory, but I myself had actually made this mistake in the early days. I did send an outreach email to Google, but I wasn't offering up a whole list of links like this. I was simply saying, can we potentially get a link from you? So thankfully that was fine. There was no exposure there. But if these people are actively giving away sites like this, then how many thousands of other people are seeing these sites? Not only is that potentially exposing them to Google and therefore having those links devalued, but also it means loads of other SEOs could be piling in, buying these links, and that reduces the power of those links. Ideally, you want undiscovered gems, because when I've seen corporate agencies in the past, they'll generally say, this is a 60 link, therefore be grateful for it, it's really powerful. Yes, but this DA60 link is linking out to 50,000 other websites, whereas you might actually find a DR30 mum blog that only links out to a couple of thousand sites is actually more powerful, because ultimately you inherit basically a metric based on how many sites are linking to that website and how many sites is that site linking out to. So you need to balance those quite carefully. There isn't really a hard and fast metric for this, but it is a consideration we take into account with our screening process. But like I say, I don't like dogma, so generally I find whenever I do get hold of some inventory like this, it's often worth exploring if I can do it quickly and efficiently. Because you never know, generally I find with a list like this, quite often 10-20% might actually be quite good quality. So what I tend to do then is simply copy the full list. Now this is all formatted with some text, so I'm now going to I'm just going to Google extract URLs from text. If you're good with Sheets or Python, you can probably do this without this, but I prefer just to use an online tool like this. And then I go to Ahrefs batch analysis and drop them all in there. So this outreach email has alleged some traffic numbers on the side, but I've got no idea if that's reliable or not. What tool have they used? How old is this email? Maybe they've been sending out the same email for years or before a Google update. So first thing we want to look at is just traffic. We can see there are a few zeros, ones and fours here. So that's already very suspicious from that outreach email. Now by using Ahrefs batch analysis here, we can see traffic, we can see DR, but then we can also go across and see the number of linked domains. So here we can see there's 25,000 outbound links from this site. Having said that, it is a DR of 78. In my team, we would actually then go on to further screen that link. I'll show you how to do that in a minute to check, has this DR spoofed in any way? Because there are loads of ways you can actually increase that, because DR is just a metric. It can be. So 25,000 linked domains, that's definitely a red flag, but if that DR78 is legitimate, then that's not too bad. Then we have a 16,000 down here, that's a 79. The other annoying thing I find about this is obviously I can't have a negotiation with the webmaster. So you see there's this whole URL here, so outdoorproject.com/United States Idaho Casino Creek Campground. Does that mean only that page is available for links? Because that's not very helpful. Whereas if I spoke to the actual webmaster, then I could have more flexibility there. Sometimes webmasters will only have a section of their website they're willing to offer links. And that's why link building agencies charge what they do, because in the early days, I tried to undercut everyone, and I found very quickly, even though I was making a markup, it basically felt like I was taking money from the client and then very quickly just handing it over to my team, to webmasters, because there's so many friction points you encounter. After you've done all the screening and checking, you'll then quite often find that certain sites have certain requirements, like they won't link to this, or they won't include links in this page or that page. Maybe you can only link to the home page and not an inner page. So it's very normal for a single link building negotiation to go back and forth for a very long time, and quite often you walk away unsatisfied. So yes, paying $300, $400, $500 per link might seem a lot, but I can tell you honestly, having been through the process of starting off undercutting my position, I very quickly realised it was unsustainable to keep prices that low, because you've got to basically pay for all the failures, how often these links don't get placed, and all the back and forth that takes. Because remember, you've typically got 24-hour gap between sending and receiving emails with different time zones. Now you also want to keep an eye on the IP addresses, because there's always a potential that someone's just running a private blog network. Basically, they own all these sites on one IP address. So I've done different videos on PBNs, private blog networks, that are worth exploring. They can work very well if you're sensible with them. But these link sellers, quite often they will be lazy and they will put loads of sites on the same IP address, the same hosting. So far this all seems clean, but there are a few examples of that here. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 on the same IP address there, then 2 on the same IP address here. So that's just another thing to look out for. Okay, so let's now do a deeper dive audit. Let's have a look at the sustainably.com. So watch full HD movies, prestige dewdrops review, perky breasts. Okay, I'm getting a few red flags here. This feels very PBN-y. So this is something we have in my screening process. I'm still rebranding it at the moment. I used to give it away as part of my old agency, but now rebranded to the SEO Jesus. I just need to tidy it up a bit with the new branding. So to get yours, go to seojesus.com, sign up for the Ranking Revelations newsletter. There's a load of resources in the welcome email, and then when that screening process is all rebranded and ready, I shall send it to them. But one of those red flags is watch out for sites that are desperate for you to write for them, where you got Write For Us Lifestyle, Write For Us Gaming. So if we come down here, I'm not against Write For Us pages. Some people do say if a site has a single Write For Us page, then it's doomed. I don't believe that, because major newspapers have those pages. But what I am concerned is if you then come onto these pages, first of all, one's enough. If you've got separate ones for guest posts, sponsorship, right for us, all of those different ones, and it just covers everything, then that's problematic. How needy are they being? But then if you go onto the page, do they talk about paid placements, pricing, things like that? Because that is also a red flag. So we've got tips for writers. Then this stuff is all quite classic. Again, not a major red flag, but it's slightly problematic. Basically, these webmasters will seed their Write For Us pages with basically keywords, because loads of link building teams, certainly a couple of years ago, were basically trained to look for sites accepting guest posts, where you basically put in your niche and Write For Us, guest posts, etc. So they would actually put these keywords on the page to make sure they ranked for those outreach emails and could then get the money from selling links. So not the worst red flag in the world. It's not like the publicly available pricing I've shared from some examples. But yeah, pretty bad. So I'm doing all this live. I haven't looked at any of the other sites in that inventory. So this is purely random selection. So let's now have a look at the backlink profile. This is something I'm really proud of in my agency, because a lot of agencies just don't do it. A lot of agents will see DR 59, search traffic 55,000, and think, we're good, all good to go. But what they won't realise is that this can easily be manipulated, and actually that can be easily manipulated as well. The fact that the traffic value is only 3,300 from a volume of 55,000 searches per month is already a clear sign that the content tends to be low value, low competition stuff. But first, let's look at the links. And what we're looking for is artificial manipulation of DR. Because the whole link building market works on the basis of DR, a lot of these link farms will basically spam their DR rating up to get more money. So one way of doing that is Web 2.0 spam. So we can see there's this Blogspot link. Every website has these, so it's not a problem. But if you find, what I tend to do is sort by DR. And if you suddenly find that the majority of the site's backlinks are all Web 2.0s, then the chances are they've been manipulating their DR. We want to look for quality editorial links. So far I'm only seeing no follow brand name anchor text, which is normally a sign of comment spam. Let's have a look. So basically you use a tool like Scrapebox, and you can just go through commenting on WordPress blogs that automatically accept comments, and that allows you to insert a link to your website. Normally no follow, but that can still be used to manipulate DR. We want sustainably, or however it's pronounced, accept that. And now I'm going to do Command F. And we can see, yep, so there's no mention of sustainably in the article. It's not actually being referenced. It's not a proper backlink in the article. It is simply in the comments section. So again, clear sign of DR manipulation using comment spam. So just to reiterate that, obviously I'm doing this on the fly as we go, so a lot of this might not make sense immediately, but basically I identified that we've got loads of these brand name anchor texts that are no follow, so sustainably. If you've got a proper website, the chances are you're being referenced on other blogs with proper anchor text. So click here, read about this article. I read this great blog post on X. Here's where you can buy this. If you look at a potential linking a site and it's all just the brand name over and over again, and the no follow, and that obviously doesn't have much relationship with what the actual article is about, then the chances are it's just been comment spam. In fact, loads of the anchor text they've actually been posting is Write For Us lifestyle, Write For Us gaming. This is a site that's desperate to sell links. So really not looking good. Like I say, didn't plan this. This is purely on the fly. I picked a site at random from an outreach list, and straight away I'm picking up major red flags from my screening process. So not looking good so far. Let's sort by DR. So podcast links, that can be fake or it can be genuine. Now these are the Web 2.0 spams I talked about. These are still comments. Write For Us gaming. Now thankfully Ahrefs has a best links feature that's new, and it's quite similar to my own requirements. So you can change these, but the default setting is minimum DR of 30 and minimum traffic of 500 for do follow in content. So these are basically proper editorial mentions. So from that 2,149 links, how many of those qualify with those criteria? So we do show best links only. 19. So some of these are genuine outreach links. I recognize a lot of these sites from doing outreach. So design inspiration, these are not bad websites at all. So basically, in addition to all the spam, the SEO has gone out and actually done its own outreach and got some high quality guest posts, high quality link insertions. But even then, they decided to do it for lifestyle right for us lifestyle, right for us gaming. So the only marketing this site has actually done is to sell more guest posts. It has done link building for its own link building sales. So I couldn't have actually planned this better. I was a bit apprehensive about this video, thinking I'm going to be very biased and say you should pay $300 to $400 per link to use a high quality outreach agency like mine. We also include a load of other benefits, including on-page optimization and consulting, while full knowing that some of these outreach emails, they're going to be offering competitive prices. Therefore, was I going to be biased in this video? I've tried to balance that, and frankly, I've been proven right. The outreach list is not good quality. So now let's have a look at the traffic. So we go to top pages, and the classic ones. Well, for a start, the brand name SEO has got huge volume itself. So that's really interesting. If we ignore the brand name, so I'm guessing they've manipulated this somehow. So SEO really big in India. But if we take out all that volume, then the actual traffic is really small. So if we just put basic filter on here and say keyword does not contain SEO, let's see what happens to that 56,800 traffic. Okay, so it's still got 18,000, so it's a big drop. But that's just through sheer volume of content, the vast majority of which isn't getting any traffic. We've got sustainably.net, that's why. So let's expand that. Doesn't contain sustainably.net. I don't know how they've done that, but it doesn't really matter. So now we're down to 7,600. And I've still got loads of different phrasings of SEO. Okay, so top keyword is Haroon Kadwani age, 1,900 searches per month. They're not even on page 1 for that, they're at 13. And their link building worked because they're at position 30 for right for us lifestyle. So overall, not good. Other red flags to look out for here tends to be OnlyFans keywords, error codes. If you're on the PS4 and you get some long digit error code, loads of people Google that every month. So therefore, quite often these link farms will have loads of these error codes that they rank for, and people might actually read the article and then click the back button. That's not high quality commercial traffic, that's just extremely high volume. The Ahrefs estimates, because they're on page 1, they're getting 10,000 visitors a month or whatever. So I don't doubt if you look at enough of these inventories, you will find some good ones that pass all my screening criteria, but they're very few and far between. We're talking 10-20% potentially. So when I get these, we tend to make a judgment call of do we actually think some of these could be good, because when you've done this a long time, you can start to recognize these kinds of schemes from a mile off. So if we think we've got a good inventory, then typically we will send that to our team for quality analysis. And if there are 10-20% of good ones, then we might bear those in mind. But generally, the vast majority of the time, we just ignore all these. We have a process that works, it's safe, it's trustworthy, we've got clients doing really well out of it. So to risk your site by trying to go cheap with one of these lists is very dangerous. So didn't plan that at all. Took one site at random. At first it was looking like an Ahrefs. We had high DR sites with lots of traffic. Outbound links, not too bad. But as soon as we started digging under the hood, it all went wrong, just with the first example I picked out. And even then, if you do find the occasional gold, the annoying thing is most of these outreach emails don't include any pricing. So you're going to go back and forth with this person, and there's no guarantee they're not going to even rip you off with higher prices than simply going with a reputable provider. So like I say, I don't like dogma. I really wanted to be open-minded about this, but I do get very tired of some clients coming back to me saying, Why are we paying you $400 per link when this guy's reached out to us offering us $200 per link? Well, as you can see, there's a difference between links and links. And we make it our business to do that screening process, to do the work, to get you the results. And that's why we include all the free bonuses of free consulting, free content, to give your site the very best opportunity to rank. So it's not just about links, it's about getting ROI for your business and your future.